dark. Mark and Steve ignite the spark.
Hey, everybody, we are live in the studio.
Live.
Mark and Steve back here with Kentucky Talks from the Meade County, or the Meade Messenger Studios.
Yeah.
Or the Meade County Messenger Studios, excuse me. It's been a great day as far as the weather goes this afternoon, but it's about to get rocking, I think, tonight.
It is. So batten down the hatches, get ready to, hopefully you got some milk and water and fill up a bathtub.
We're supposed to do Kentucky Talk Sports this evening after a little while. We don't know if we're going to get that off because of the weather. We don't want anybody to get hurt. There's as much as we like to do the show and we like to participate, have everybody listening. We want to keep people safe too. So if we go live, you'll get the message. But please understand if we don't, there's the only reason is that the storms are coming and people have to drive in and out to from the studio. So we want to make sure people keep safe. So with that, we got kind of a little bit of a free day today. Just a little bit little freelance. I saw 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago, maybe it is now, that the one big beautiful bill, the tax breaks and the bill with the tax breaks and the and the spending cuts didn't make it out of committee. Didn't make it out of committee. I think the vote came out to I'm going to say it was like 21-16 against, or 16-4, 21 against. That means we had at least 3 Republicans that voted against the bill. This is Donald Trump's bill, and and this was to basically reinstate those tax cuts that we've all really been been enjoying the last few years from really from his first term till now. But those things were they're set to sunset, I think, in July, August, something like that.
So we're on a limited time because I think the session ends in June or something to that effect.
And I mean, there's some sticking points. Some conservatives want more cuts. They want deeper cuts. They want more permanent cuts. They want the tax cuts to be permanent. The thing is that's going to be very difficult to make some of these things permanent because they have to use reconciliation in order to get this bill through. They don't have 60 votes in the Senate to override the filibuster. I see a lot of things on Facebook and a lot of things on X these days, formerly Twitter, and people just are like, well, Republicans got to do something. Well, it's hard to do with the 60 vote threshold in the Senate, and we only have 53. We only have 53 votes, 54 if you count a tie-breaking vote from the vice president. However, that only counts if there's a tie, and if it's a tie, that means three Republicans voted against it. So, but so you have to get, and a lot of people are starting to talk, well, on the Republican side, not pundits or politicians or people and officials, but there are people on the that are Republicans that want to see the filibuster overturned. I'm like, no. The reason we don't, if you have to remember, if it's overturned for us during ours, it's overturned for that when they're in charge, and then it will create huge swings back and forth in our government, and it'll wear us out. It'll wear us out going back and forth. You won't know what you're being taxed on, when you're being taxed on it. It'll be confusing. You'll get, and so it's to me, in the spirit of what our founding fathers wanted, the 60 vote limit should stand, and that way the smaller states get it helps them get a better say in the on legislation. So anyway,
I get that.
So I think that I'm urging people out there to understand that when we say that we're not for removing the filibuster, it's because the filibuster protects us when we're in the minority. And so because of that, we want to make sure that it remains, and if we take it down, it's out. That's just the way it's going to be. The Democrats have been very close to removing the filibuster a few times, and we had one or two vote holdouts in the Senate that kept it from happening.
Right.
And the thing is, it doesn't take 60 votes to remove the filibuster. It takes 51 because it's a rule that they would vote on, and the rules are a straight majority when they vote on their rules at the beginning of the year. So that's the way it works.
Yeah.
So again, we say all that because, well, the tax bill is back to, it's going to have to go back into committee. They're going to have to, continue to push, and hopefully we can get those. Hopefully we can get those 19 votes to get it out of committee and get legislation moving forward.
Well, yes. There's so many things that are happening right now besides that one bill, especially with the Supreme Court as well, and the consternation over the specific argument. There's like so many arguments, but that, just the last couple of days, there was those discussions as well, and the feedback from
Are you talking about the birthright citizenship case? Yeah.
That case and the federal circuit court districts, they get it wrong. Statement that came from one of the Supreme Court justices talking about, I get it that you have jurisdiction over that state, for that region of that federal district court, but it doesn't give you like a blanket statement for 680 other federal district courts.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's not about birthright citizenship yet. It's about whether one court in one district somewhere can put a nationwide
stop to an executive order.
And the argument that the government's making right now, the government being the Trump administration, the argument they're making right now is that
the executive branch is made.
The executive branch is making is that they're saying that yes, in those particular cases that they can stop it for those particular cases, but you can't do a blanket stop for all illegal immigrants to be, or birthright citizenship, or whatever the case may be, to call it. So what's her name? Sonia Sotomayor. Oh, that's say that several times. She said she was making an argument, and it's funny because her questions were very, very. You can tell where she was leaning on this when she was asking questions to the Solicitor General, and she said that he's been you're losing all over the place,
right?
And it's like, well, that's not necessarily true. Yes, they're losing, but they are cherry picking what judges they're going to and what districts they're doing things in, because they know that those judges will rule in their favor. So you can say you're losing, but you're not losing. And the Solicitor General brought up many times that yes, we've lost these cases, and but not on their merits, but on. We're not losing the cases. We're losing. They're putting TROs in place and things, so that while they figure these things out, and they're like, well, shouldn't you stop these things while you figure it out? And in some cases, he says yes, you should, but not in every case.
Right.
You can't have they can't be a blanket TRO that says, oh yeah, nobody's do anything.
That's
because you're at that point you're starting to run the executive branch.
Well, and that's why there's a division between the branches.
That's right.
In a lot of ways, I think it's great to exercise your authority under the executive branch, which is, primarily to maintain the security of our nation, right?
That's the main goal.
That is the main goal, is maintain the security of our nation. Congress makes laws and judicial enforces the laws. But when the law isn't clear, and I see Congress always adds little things in, but it skews things, right? So this will provide a lot of clarity because of this process that we're going through between what is legal and what has been stretched for so long as, well, that's not necessarily illegal. You know what I mean? We're going to change the name and not call them illegals. We're going to call them just immigrants, you know, and muddy the waters or whatever. So I hope that at the end of the day, this provides a great clarity for the executive branch to provide us the security that I think the majority of us
agreed.
all.
I think that ultimately, I mean, the Supreme Court, they have to look at the law. They have to look at the Constitution and understand that this law, as it's written, is within the framework of the Constitution. The thing is that Supreme Courts also tend to make up their own interpretation of the Constitution.
Just like the Roe v. Wade, they said,
yeah,
you know, even
there's nothing.
What's her name said that this probably won't hold up in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They knew they knew that it was
very slim. Yeah.
At the same time, in that time, there was there was this push. There was this push to because they were basically making things up. In that case, the lady who brought the suit, the one that was, she years later came back and admitted that she lied. Mm-hmm. She lied about her circumstance. She lied about the whole thing to get the abortion, and then she regretted it later. Mm-hmm. And then when she regretted it, she came out and said, that she was pro-life, that she would never do that again, and that it shouldn't be allowed. That was the person who actually the case was about, and there was that was an agenda item for some of the, especially the far left that wanted to see. They feel. I don't take away from the fact that they really feel that abortion frees women. They feel that being a mother is slavery, right? In their mind, that's how they think about it. So if you get pregnant by accident, or
you better be careful. You're gonna make a lot of people mad, man.
So
those thoughts right there are woo.
Well, I mean, it's
there's people that
I'm saying they feel that way. They feel that.
Yeah.
That's why it's so. That's why they're so hardened to it, right? Mm-hmm. So that stuff really happened and really was. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's not justly felt. In my opinion, that I am, but I think it is. But overall, I think that we have to be able to talk through these things. Mm-hmm. We have to have discussions about things. So the Constitution is there for a reason. It's written in a certain way, and you can't read more into it than it's really there.
I think our curriculums would do a lot of justice in our education system if we actually taught how to argue. Yeah, and okay, what's your stance? Here's the topic. What's your stance? I'm for or against. Okay, great. You're against. Now you're for. Your assignment is to find all the reasons why you're for it, and you're going to give me a class presentation on why you're for it, and then what are you for or against? I'm for it. Okay, well, good. Now you're against it. You two are coming in here to go hash it out, and to open up perspectives and not be so one-sided that you open up. And there's a lot of colleges that are doing that now. I was reading on a news article that had come in from a different news entity, and they had some students that came from a particular college in the country that was talking to these students about it, and the students were very articulate about, like, I had never thought this way before, and everything else, unfortunately, waiting till college to get that experience is probably not where that needs to happen. It probably needs to happen at a much younger age. But I think that learning to have your opinion and do the research to find why it's good and bad, and then differentiate between the pro or the con, and then make a conclusion. I think that's what a lot of people fail to realize, even in government. That's why they call it politics. Is you're not every day going to get it your way when you try to represent whole group of people, whether you're liked or disliked because of party politics. But their goal is and should be to represent the sum of all,
right?
And then negotiate for what you can negotiate in that political structure, so that the taxpayer dollars are spent wisely, and that it's going to programs and support that truly benefit, the state. And as you've said, one of our topics we're going to go into, it's been very heated this week in Congress, even for our own Representative Brett Guthrie, because of the Medicare, Medicaid. portions that are going on.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're not necessarily cutting Medicaid, but they are trying to revise the fraud out of it. And people are standing up against that. And I haven't heard all the arguments because most people are just yelling about it. And I would like to hear their argument as to why they believe that Medicaid, that somebody that people want to cut Medicaid. It's not been on the agenda that I know of, but they do want to reform it so that there's less fraud in it. I guess you can look at that as a cut for those who don't really deserve it. But but you need to make you can't use Medicaid as an end all beat all,
solve all your problems.
as solve all your problems. You have to be
from
able to
a state legislature.
from a state. Yeah. Well, I mean the money, a lot of that money comes from the Fed, and then the state distributes it as they see fit. So each state, there's 50 Medicaid.
Yeah, but each
versions.
state's going to fight for their cut of that Fed budget and say, oh well, we need it because we got.
Well,
more
yeah,
people. But it goes back to what you were saying. There's people that deserve it, and then there's people that aren't, and then there's a group that are nefarious.
And I'm all for Medicaid for those who need it and those who deserve it, or maybe deserve is the wrong word. I think it's need. When you need Medicaid, and for you guys out there, Medicaid pays for a lot of different things.
It does.
It helps. It pays for. It pays for medical for uninsured folks. It pays for it helps with like adoptions and things like that, right? So there's a lot of things that go into Medicaid, and then there's a lot of things that it's needed for. But then there's a lot of things there's a lot of people who understand that, hey, if I fill this form out a certain way, I'm going to get this money. Well, they didn't need the money for the thing that they said it was. They took the money and used it for something else, or they didn't deserve the money. They weren't really eligible for it, but
right.
they schemed the system. And that's the things that we have to cut out because we can't afford that. We can't afford it.
So, and another interesting news story, and it's closely tied, is, Auditor Ball just filed a lawsuit Thursday in the Franklin Circuit Court to force the governor's office, right? She's the auditor's office, the governor's office, because there's a House bill passed about supporting kinship care, and those resources that go to those parents that take on the burden of someone else's in the family's children, right?
Yeah.
And so it's
family taking care of family.
That's it. And there were resources that were directed out of that bill, but it's the bureaucracy to get to there and the lack of cooperation between the two to get to complete the investigation to find out where the breakdown is not going very well. So the lawsuit is to force the governor's office to provide more transparency into those dealings so that those that are participating in kinship care can receive the benefits that the legislature has deemed available. You know what I mean? So those could be Medicare benefits that certain children are entitled to but aren't getting because of bureaucracy in the system. Or it could be that they don't have enough people to do the job. Or it could be any number of things, but you don't know because you can't see it in the transparency. And I think that from a federal level, they could probably respect that going on from a state level, especially if the fixes to the bill that are being proposed get after things like that. Does this person deserve it or not deserve it? And do you have a means to determine the qualification?
Yeah, and I think that the states need to be able to ask those questions and get good honest answers from them, and then make a determination if it's real. If it's real, then if it's real, I'll be the first one to stand up for you to say you need that.
Yeah, but if you can't even audit your own,
but you have to audit.
Yeah, you got to.
You have to be able to audit. Everything needs to be audited.
You have to be transparent. Yeah, everything.
That's the whole point. I mean, if you can't, there's no trust. If you can't trust, then it's
Yeah. So. Well, I know that kind of closes out on the federal government side, but for Kentucky news, we've kind of interweaved a lot of those discussion points. The weather tonight is coming in. It's coming in hot. It's going to be very, very windy. I've looked at the storm report coming in. It doesn't look like much. It looks like a little blip right now. But if you wait till that like 7 o'clock hour, it's like all these little other swells.
I wish we'd have hooked up. I'd show you the radar. I'd show you what the model says it's going to look like here in about 2 hours or 3 hours from now.
Yeah.
Around 8 o'clock or so is
Send me
going
the
to.
link.
Yeah. It's an app on my PC.
Well, yeah, there's just a lot going on. I think that national news has kind of kept our eye on as we've seen, our president move across to the Middle East, and then they just got back. The issues going on within the Supreme Court, and then our own internal things going on with the news. But for the most part, we just wish that you guys would be safe tonight, that you
Absolutely.
seek cover and shelter. And I mean, I don't really have anything else for today's show, Mark.
Well, I don't either. I'm hoping that we're going to get up with Aaron Taylor tonight to do some Kentucky Talk sports. I do want to put my condolences out to the Joe Greer family.
Yeah.
Sheriff Joe Greer was put to rest yesterday. So my prayers and my thoughts go out to that family. And with that though, Scott, Steve, I'm ready to rock, man.
Me too. Listen, same on the Joe Greer family, and thanks for his service and many years of dedication and the family support
That's right.
that went into that. I was very honored. I don't do well at those situations just because too many fallen, but I was honored to get to film that so that the community could pay their respects, and they did diligently online. And thank y'all for all the support. We'll keep coming back at you from the Messenger Studios. This is Kentucky Talks with Mark and Steve.
Have a good night.